Forged in the stars. The stars had always called to humanity, a symphony of light scattered across the vast darkness. For centuries, humans had gazed upward, wondering if they were alone, yearning to touch the infinite. Little did they know, the stars were waiting for them. In the year 2472, humanity had finally unlocked the secrets of faster-than-light travel. The Star Forge, a colossal shipyard orbiting Jupiter, was the crown jewel of their technological achievements. It was a testament to human ingenuity, where entire fleets were built to explore and defend their expanding domain. Among the countless vessels, the Eos Vanguard stood apart. It was the first of its kind, a living starship forged not from metal alone but imbued with the essence of a dying star. This ship wasn't just built, it was born, a fusion of humanity's ambition and the raw power of the cosmos. Captain Alina Vera stood on the bridge of the Eos Vanguard, her hand resting on the railing as she gazed out at the vast expanse before her. She was a woman of resolve, her sharp eyes reflecting the light of distant stars. The mission ahead was fraught with uncertainty, to journey beyond the known galaxy, into the Veil, a mysterious region of space from which no signal had ever returned. The crew of the Eos Vanguard was an elite group, each member chosen not only for their skills but for their unyielding spirit. There was Dr. Eamon Harker, the brilliant astrophysicist whose theories had made the ship's creation possible, Lieutenant Kale Soren, the enigmatic pilot whose reflexes were unmatched, and Zara, the ship's AI, whose consciousness was as vast as the data streams that birthed her. Their journey began with a burst of light as the Eos Vanguard pierced the boundary of the Veil. The ship's living core hummed with energy, resonating with the unknown forces around it. For weeks, they navigated the endless void, encountering phenomena that defied logic, planets wreathed in ethereal fire, nebulas that sang like choirs, and ancient structures carved from blackened stone. But the Veil was not uninhabited. On the edge of a dying star system, they encountered the Althari, a race as ancient as the stars themselves. The Althari were guardians, protectors of a fragile balance. Their crystalline forms shimmered with the light of millennia, their voices like whispers carried on solar winds. "You have come far, humans," said an Althari elder. "Too far. This place is not meant for your kind." Captain Vera stood her ground. "We seek knowledge, not conquest. We mean no harm." The elder's gaze seemed to pierce her soul. "Your kind is forged in fire and ambition, but the stars are unforgiving. To take their power is to invite ruin." Despite the warnings, the crew pressed on. They discovered the remnants of a civilization that had once ruled the galaxy, their downfall etched into the ruins, a cautionary tale of hubris and greed. It was here they uncovered the Starforge's true origins. Humanity's technology was not entirely their own. It was a gift, or perhaps a curse, bestowed by the stars themselves. As the Eos Vanguard prepared to return, they were confronted by an Althari fleet. It was not a battle of weapons but of will. The ship's living core, now fully awakened, reached out to the Althari, bridging a gap of understanding that no language could traverse. In that moment, humanity was judged, not by their technology, but by their potential for growth. The Althari allowed them to leave, carrying with them the knowledge that the stars were not just destinations but guardians, watching and waiting. Back on Earth, Captain Vera stood before a council, recounting their journey. "We are not conquerors," she said. "We are explorers, learners, dreamers. The stars have tempered us, and we must prove worthy of their trust." The Eos Vanguard was hailed as a symbol of hope, a reminder that humanity's greatest strength was not in what they could build, but in how they could grow. Forged in the stars, they had become something greater. And their journey had only just begun. Sure, here's a new story. The Last Flamekeeper. The winds howled through the shattered ruins of Earth's last city, carrying with them ash from fires long extinguished. Humanity had fallen, not with a bang, but with a slow, inevitable whisper as the world grew colder and the sun dimmed. The Great Eclipse, they called it, an event where the sun's light had been choked by an unrelenting cosmic shadow. In this new, frozen world, only one light remained, the eternal flame. Deep within the fortress of Etherhold, a massive, roaring fire blazed atop an ancient altar. It was said that this fire was a fragment of the sun itself, gifted to humanity in their darkest hour by celestial beings. The flame was more than warmth, it was life. Crops grew under its glow, and its energy powered the last bastions of human civilization. For centuries, the Order of Flamekeepers had guarded it with their lives, passing the duty from generation to generation. But now, there was only one left. Her name was Lyra. Lyra was young, no more than 22, but her eyes held the weight of countless sacrifices. She had been only a child when her parents, both Flamekeepers, had perished, defending the altar from raiders seeking to claim the flame's power for themselves. The memory of that night haunted her still, the screams, the blood, the cold. Now, she was alone, the last line of defense between humanity's survival and its extinction. One fateful morning, as the sky turned an eerie shade of crimson, a sign of the flames' dwindling strength, Lyra received an unexpected visitor. A man in tattered robes stumbled into the fortress, his body bruised and frostbitten. His name was Kale, and he carried a message. The flame is dying because it is incomplete. To save it, you must find the ember. Kale spoke of an ancient legend, whispered in the forgotten corners of the world. The eternal flame was not whole, it was merely a fragment, and the ember, the heart of the original fire, had been hidden away, far beyond the icy wastelands. Without it, the flame would eventually wither, and humanity's last hope would be extinguished. Lyra was reluctant to leave the fortress, but the truth was undeniable. The flame's light had grown dimmer in recent years, and the warmth it provided no longer reached as far. If Kale's story was true, staying would mean watching it fade to nothing. Gathering what supplies she could, Lyra set out with Kale. Their destination was the Obsidian Peaks, a jagged mountain range said to cradle the ember within its highest summit. The journey was brutal, the cold bit at their skin, and the icy winds howled like vengeful spirits. Along the way, they encountered dangers both natural and unnatural, packs of frost wolves that hunted in silence, and shadowy figures that seemed to follow their every step. Kale proved to be an invaluable companion, his knowledge of the old texts guiding them through treacherous terrain, but Lyra began to suspect he wasn't telling her everything. He spoke of the ember with a reverence that bordered on obsession, and there were times when he seemed to know too much about the dangers they faced. "What aren't you telling me?" Lyra demanded one night as they sheltered in a cave. Kale hesitated, his gaze fixed on the flickering fire. "The ember, it is not just a fragment of the sun, it is alive, Lyra, and it will test you before it allows itself to be taken." When they finally reached the summit of the Obsidian Peaks, Lyra understood what Kale meant. The ember was not a simple object, it was a sphere of pulsating, molten energy, floating within a cavern of black crystal. It radiated an intense heat, yet the air around it was bitterly cold. As Lyra approached, the ember flared, and a voice echoed in her mind. "Why do you seek me, mortal?" Lyra steeled herself. "The flame is dying, without you, humanity will perish." The voice was both ancient and sorrowful. "Your kind has squandered the gifts of the cosmos before, what makes you worthy of this second chance?" Lyra hesitated, then knelt before the ember. "We may be flawed, but we endure, we learn, we hope. If you give us this chance, I will ensure your light is not wasted." The cavern fell silent. Then, the ember pulsed brightly, and Lyra felt its warmth flow into her. It had chosen her as its bearer. Returning to Etherhold with the ember, Lyra reignited the eternal flame. Its light blazed brighter than ever, driving back the cold and filling the air with warmth and life. For the first time in years, the people of the city dared to hope. Lyra stood before the altar, the ember now a part of the flame she had sworn to protect. She was no longer just a keeper of the fire, she was its guardian, its champion. And she knew that as long as the flame burned, humanity would endure.